walls were so heavy that visibility was zero, and as the ship tried to navigate into this channel using only a compass, it ran hard aground on a rock reef called Trout Point. You'll see why. We'll show you the reef. The 16-man crew was rescued by fishermen, but the Hettler was 36 years old, made out of wood, had just landed into a rock reef. It wasn't salvageable, it was just left abandoned on the rocks. So it sat on the rocks for 3 years until 1929. The Coast Guard had to use dynamite to knock it down because it was a navigational hazard to smaller vessels. Also, it was a bad omen to sailors who saw it as they passed by. So what we'll show you out here is more of a typical shipwreck, one that's in the form of a debris field. We're going to look at 3 points of interest here. So if we could have everybody come back to the viewing areas like we did on the Bermuda, I'm going to turn the mic back over to Anne Marie as we drift this side. Again, she'll tell us what we're looking at. Again, if you could fill in on the outside first. Perfect.
Oh, I can't be backwards. Sorry, guys. Seems like I get it.
Yeah.
And while we're heading out there, if you guys can look, do you see that red buoy that's out there? The Hettler had to be just on the other side of that, and it was here, like 30 yards is all it hit the reef. It wouldn't hit the reef. It had been on the other side. So I guess close only counts in horseshoes and hand grenades, right? All right, guys, start looking down.
Rocky.
So we're going to start on the port side, which is the left side of the ship, facing forward, laying down. The ship itself was 210 feet long. This is a 200-foot section. There's a really cool picture of this ship up in our gift shop. It's above one of our cash registers, and it's also above the book section. It's called the Herman H. Hettler.
We must not take up much water.
But it's pretty cool to see it in its entirety
Yeah, I know.
before she went down.
So we must not take up.
A lot of rocks down here. Now we're looking for an anchor to start out with, guys. Told us about it was carrying lumber on top. She was called a lumber hooker, nicknamed the lumber hooker. This is that port side section. You guys can see some of those white nail heads down there. They look like coins. They are not. It's actually lead paint. That anchor is 5 feet wide, 8 feet tall, and 2,500 pounds. It's kind of a blue-green color. It sat in a gentleman's lawn up in Negaunee until he moved to Florida. Instead of having it shipped there, he gave it back to Shipwreck Tours. I think he got sick of weed whacking around it. But now that's protected with the Alger Underwater Preserve.
See a bunch of rocks. You didn't see the anchor? I see the part of it, whatever that steel piece was.
All right. So we're gonna see it on the port side first, and then the starboard we'll see it. Looks like you could reach right down and pick it up. It is kind of like an aquarium boat. Because we're gonna start on that port side section.
There's the anchor.
This part up here that's all broken up, that's where the
Oh,
anchor
there.
slammed into the side of it when it hit that rock reef. Any of the oval holes you see, those are Hassais. Any round holes, those are port holes. Getting a good look at that big board that's a little up from every other ones. Of the other ones, that's called the rub rail. That rub rail is the sacrificial piece of wood. So when they would pull into dock, they'd only have to replace one board instead of the whole side of the ship. Not that any of our captains ever rubbed the dock. Just kidding. There's a good look at a porthole. So we don't throw coins or anything on any of these shipwrecks, because what happens is they catch a wind and they drill, like a drilling action. That's what's called pestles in the rocks. You guys are getting a good look at that. Pulley wheel. All these seams you're seeing here, that's where they would stuff that dynamite in. But as we go out to that reef out there, you guys will notice some round holes. Those are pestles. Those are made from rocks. So we're going to slide on over to the engine bed section. This ship was a transitional ship. Not only did she have sails, but she also had a 485 horse engine. You won't see that engine down there today because back in the day they salvaged what they could. It had brass bearings in it. I'm getting a good look at that. Those bolts down there are 5 feet tall. The nuts on them are as big as softballs. You see lots of things down here. That big board that we're getting a look at, the biggest one you can see is called a keelson. All the boards running same direction are called sister keelsons. And all the boards running opposite direction, those are the ribs of the ship. If we were to open up the Bermuda, that's what it would look like inside. You may see some railroad tracks and stuff down here. There was a little trolley system on here. It was carrying table salt. So how long do you think it took for that salt to dissipate? And if any of you ever wonder why our whitefish here in Munising Bay taste so good, we can thank the Herman H. Chatler because of salt, you know? Yes. But there's lots of debris down here because we all know when you blow stuff up, it goes everywhere. But that keelson sits upon a really flat board called the keel. The keel